up, guys? Thanks for checking out the channel, watching the video. Today we're making cinnamon rolls. Yes, sir, cinnamon rolls. I've never really found a great cinnamon roll recipe that you can make at home that would remotely match the ones you can buy in airports or something like that. This one, however, is different. This one's really close. This is an amazing cinnamon roll. It's a lot of work, but it is worth every second you put into it. When you hit that cinnamon with that cream cheese on it, it is so good. This is my recipe for, we'll just call it the world's greatest cinnamon rolls. Anyway, I think they're really good, and I think they're right up there on top of the list. Maybe we'll say the world's greatest homemade cinnamon rolls. Maybe that's what we'll say. But anyway, this is my recipe for cinnamon rolls. I use the bread machine. You don't have to use a bread machine. If you don't have a bread machine, you can convert this to a traditional recipe by kneading it for about 8 minutes or so, letting it rise for about an hour, punch it down, let it rise again, punch it down, and then roll it out and make the cinnamon rolls. But we're gonna use a bread machine. Makes life so much easier. This is my recipe for the cinnamon rolls. If you guys are not subscribed, take a second and hit subscribe. We're trying to build our membership. I don't know if membership's the right word, viewership. We're trying to build that viewership. So make sure you hit subscribe. While you're at it, there's a little thumbs up, hit that too. We'd love to have you put a like on it. If you have a great cinnamon roll recipe, throw it my way in a comment. I would love to have it. If you try this, let me know what you think. Anyway, guys, here it comes. Here is the world's greatest homemade cinnamon rolls. In the pan of the bread maker, we're gonna put in 1 cup of milk. This is whole milk that's come to room temp. I don't always let it come to room temp because I'm too impatient. Into that, you're going to add 1/3 of a cup of melted butter, melted-ish. It says to use soften, but again, I'm too impatient for that. Just zap it in the microwave. We're gonna put about a teaspoon of salt. On top of this, we are going to add 4.5 cups of flour. This is all-purpose white. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to put 1/2 cup of white sugar, 2 eggs. This should have actually gone into the wet, but forgot to put eggs in. This goes with the wet ingredients, but I'm gonna stick it here to the side. There's 2 eggs, room temp, and we're gonna put about a tablespoon of yeast. Again, I buy the big jars of yeast because it's easier. So, tablespoonish. You're gonna close your lid. Let's see if I can get this to where you can see. So we're gonna put this on the dough, which means we're gonna switch the menu to 9. So that's my dough setting. You don't have to do color or anything because we're not baking it. You hit start. And it's gonna mix it, let it set for a minute, remix it again, knead it, punch it down, blah, 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 blah. It'll be in 1 hour and 50 minutes. So the dough has about 1 minute left. We're gonna start heating up a pot of water. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and we're gonna stick that in the oven while it's off and set it on the bottom shelf there. What that's gonna do is create a proofing box for the dough. In a bowl, while our water's boiling, we're gonna measure out 1 cup of brown sugar. I'm using light brown. I don't have any dark brown. I always use dark, but today we're using light. I'm gonna pack that in. So that's your 1 cup of sugar. And this seems like a lot, but we're gonna put in about 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. 1, 2, and a half-ish. We're gonna mix this together. This is gonna be our sprinkle that goes in the middle. All right, guys, we're gonna start out with everything we need, which is a rolling pin. Got to have a bench scraper. That is a necessity, I think, in life in general. We have our dough that's been through the bread machine. So what we're gonna start doing, we're gonna put some bench flour down. Just kind of spread it out. It's impeccably clean, as Martha Stewart would say. Impeccably clean countertop. Dump our dough out. Fish out this little boy. So we want to roll our dough into a 16 by 21 rectangle. So 16. We want to go 16 this way, so that's kind of the way I look at it. 16 by 21. It's huge. It's going to be this big. So we'll punch our dough down. Get some flour everywhere so it's good and soft. Shape it into a rectangle, sort of. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to roll it up. So I always get my height first. So we still got 4 inches to go. We got a long way to go on this. Okay. 16. Now we want to go 21, which is this far. The secret is you just want it thin. And I like using it on the end of the counter like this, so I can walk around it. And really pull this dough out. Okay, so let's kind of glance at that. See where we're at. We're right there at it. So we're going to call that good. So what I'm going to do is kind of cheat, use my fingers, and make it back into a rectangle so it's relatively, the edges are squared off. Because we're going to roll it. And if it's not square, it doesn't roll right. It doesn't roll well, let's put it that way. Good enough. Okay, so we have our butter. It can be soft butter or it can be melted butter. It doesn't really matter. I think the soft actually works a little better, but I'll let this over melt in the microwave, so I am not gonna cry about it. Just really slop it on. So our water did come to boil in that pot, and I put the pot in the off oven. And when we open this to put this in to let it rise, it is a steamy box of warmth, which is exactly what you need for yeast to rise. Okay, Take it all the way to the edge. All right, now we've got our cup of brown sugar with our cinnamon that has been mixed in it. We're just going to evenly spread this over the top. Doesn't matter about the clumps of brown sugar like that because they'll bake out. And take it all the way to the edge, because if you go to the edge without mixture, you're going to have just plain dough. That cinnamon smells so good. Okay. We're going to make 12 rolls out of this. We don't want to roll it this way because you're going to have really thick rolls. We want to roll it this way, that we're going to have more rolls. I'm going to come around this way so you can see. So the way I do it, scrape the end free, pull a little and roll, pull a little and roll, pull a little roll, all the way like that. And you'll get into a routine of it. If it sticks, that's where that comes in. Tight. You want a tight roll. This is such a nice dough to work with too. I almost think it's kind of like a brioche, but it's not sticky. It's just a great recipe for a dough. Okay, I'm gonna move this way and start pulling it towards me. So you have a side here, I don't have enough, so we'll just kind of stretch it out like that as we get closer. If you have a part that breaks, not a big deal. It's going to be in a roll, so it doesn't matter. Bring it up to the end, and I just kind of pinch the end like that. You could actually put water down and seal it, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So there's our roll. Got to clean this up for a sec. Again, the bench scraper, it's so good for this. Okay. Now, since I'm taking this to work, I'm not going to bring this home. I don't want to fool the pan. This is a, I think it was 11 by 9, 9 by 13, around in there. Any of that'll work. I'm going to give it a coating of spray and a piece of parchment. Just like that. Doesn't really stick, but I just like the parchment. I think it makes it cook better almost. Now you're going to use a serrated knife. This is a good serrated knife. It's thin and it's got the serrations. So we're going to divide it into 12, so that's 6, 4. And each of the 4s will go into 3s. So kind of eyeball 1. As you pull it off, stick it in the pan. 1, 2. And you want to lift it with the knife, because if you try to pick it up, it's going to stretch because the dough is stretchy. Okay. 1. 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Now, what I do is I kind of pat them all until they're about the same height. Making sure they're spaced well. And this is our pan of cinnamon. These are going to go into the oven with the pan of boiling water that boiled. It's really going to be hot and it's going to be steamy. And one thing I'm going to do, since this pan is really flimsy, I'm going to set it on a heavier pan. So we open this up and you're going to see the steam come out. You probably didn't. So warm and moist in there. But 30 minutes, we're gonna let that rise. All right, the rolls are almost done. We're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees, which is a little hotter than most things. But we're gonna preheat it to 400 degrees. While that's preheating, we're gonna take out our pot of hot water, right here. And we're gonna take out our cinnamon rolls that have risen. Now they're not gonna rise a ton. I'm gonna set it right here. Look how gorgeous they are. Anyway, let the oven preheat. Once that preheats, we're gonna put them in that 400 degree oven for about 30 minutes. While that's going, we're gonna make the glaze. Once they go in the oven. All right, to make our glaze, in the mixer, we're gonna put half a block of cream cheese. This is softened. You know, always have a fight with the cream cheese wrappers. Fourth of a cup of butter, softened. Vanilla, about a half a teaspoon, ish, like that. We're gonna also add a pinch of salt. Anytime you make an icing, even if it doesn't call for it, pinch of salt. It helps level out that sweetness. So we're gonna put that together and let this cream. Doesn't have to get real fluffy or anything. We're not making an icing. This is going to go on the cinnamon rolls when they're hot. So it's gonna melt-ish. So we're gonna put a cup and a half of powdered sugar. Okay. And mix this together. Like that. It's gonna be thick. Okay. Scrape off the goodness. Okay, this is the way to do it. When you take those cinnamon rolls out, they're gonna be really soft and delicate. You can't spread stuff on it. It'll tear them up. So in a glass, put a Ziploc bag. We're gonna pipe them on that way. Almost made a big mess, but didn't. No, that's it. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and seal that and lay that to the side for when they come out of the oven. All right, before I go any further, you cook them for 15 minutes, not 30 minutes, 15 minutes. I almost let them overcook. In fact, they did get a little dark, but still, as long as they're soft, that's all that matters. So we have our icing in the bag, and we're gonna snip off an end about that big. And what we wanna do is just spread this. Because I'm gonna use an offset spatula and spread it better. But what I do is put a dollop on the tops. Just want to spread it evenly, because I'm going to take that knife, the not palette knife, the offset spatula, and really spread it out. So it doesn't have to be beautiful. This just saves you from having to go with icing, which we don't want to do. Get all the icing. Oh, dadgummit. That's what I get. But my hands are clean, so it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to take my offset and just slowly spread this stuff. Because when you pull on it, it pulls the things apart. It'll start melting. It gets really easy to spread. I don't know if the cinnamon place, I'm not gonna use the name of it, but the cinnamon roll place you get in the airports, I don't know if they put the icing on when it's hot or not. But I love the way this like soaks into it. Because we really want to get around the edges and everywhere. You get where there's a glob right there, you can spread that out. Here's a little too much, so we'll put that over here. All right, guys. We are going to call that done. Sure. Things good. Things good. Okay, enough. I could keep doing that all day. Anyway, guys, that's the cinnamon rolls. Amazing. The smell of the house too, yum. All right, guys, this is the cinnamon roll. Smell first. The cinnamon, the tablespoons of cinnamon, the bomb. So good. All right, let's take it apart. Look at the dough and how cinnamony and magical. Oh, yes. I don't think there's anything in life better than a cinnamon roll. Well, maybe. Wow. Guys, that is such a great cinnamon roll. That cinnamon and that hint of cream cheese, you can't get anything better at an airport than that. Give it a try, guys. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like down below. We'd love to have you as viewers and subscribers. You guys have a safe week. Try the cinnamon rolls. Other than that, y'all be good and have a safe week, and we'll see you next week.